Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something you sent over, and it has to do with these lingering effects of COVID-19.
Hmm.
But it goes way beyond just long COVID, right?
Right.
We're talking about how our bodies, our whole systems, might be struggling to keep up in this crazy, fast-paced world we live in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're cracking open this article called, what was it again? Has COVID-19 slowed us down?
That's the one. By Tom Meyers.
Right, Tom Meyers. He's
Yeah.
an osteopath, right?
Osteopath and stress coach.
And he's noticed some really interesting stuff with his patients. And it actually seems to connect to, some of the wider research that's being done on the impact of the pandemic.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today.
Okay, so the big idea here,
Yeah.
if I'm getting this right, is that Myers is basically saying that COVID slammed the brakes on our systems, biologically, while the world around us just keeps accelerating.
Precisely. He's highlighting all this research that suggests that COVID-19 has made a lot of people way more susceptible to getting sick, having these recurring health issues.
And not even just the long COVID stuff.
Exactly. It goes beyond that.
It's like our bodies are lagging behind or something,
Yeah, we can't quite adapt as quickly as things are changing around us.
Is that kind of what he means by slowed down?
Yeah, he uses this really interesting analogy in the article.
Okay.
He compares our biology to a car,
Okay.
and he says it's like we're stuck in low gear
Oh, no.
while everything else is zooming ahead on the freeway.
And there's no way to switch gears.
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can we adapt? Can our bodies catch up?
That's kind of terrifying when you put it like that.
It makes you think, right?
It really does. And what's wild is that it's not just theoretical for him, right? He's seeing this in his patients every day.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He talks about how he's seeing more and more patients coming in with these musculoskeletal problems.
Like back pain, that kind of thing.
Yeah, back pain, joint pain, and then the mental health challenges too. Anxiety, brain fog, you name it. And then just this overall feeling of being run down, their resilience is just shot.
Wow.
And here's the kicker. A lot of times they can't pinpoint what's causing it. There's no obvious injury or trigger for these issues.
It's like their bodies are sending up an SOS signal, but nobody knows exactly what's wrong.
Right. It's like their internal stress response is stuck in overdrive.
Oh, wow.
And that can manifest in all these different ways. And what's really interesting is that Myers is finding that his clinical observations are actually being backed up by, by all this recent research that's coming out.
Really?
Yeah. So there was this study published just this year, 2024, in Frontiers in Public Health.
Okay.
And they found a direct link between even mild COVID-19 infection and a higher risk of developing chronic back pain down the line.
How much higher, though? Is it a small increase?
No, it was significant. They found that people who had had even a mild case of COVID, they were 30% more likely to report having chronic back pain a year later.
Wow. 30%. That's huge.
It is huge. And that's just one example. There's a ton of research coming out on the cognitive effects, too. There was this other study, this one was in Frontiers in Neurology. They found that.
See, this is what blows my mind about all of this. It makes you realize that we can't just treat COVID like it's a cold.
Exactly.
We've been so focused, understandably, on just getting through the immediate threat
Right.
that we haven't really grappled with the fact that this thing could have much longer-term consequences.
And for a lot of people, it already has,
Yeah. It makes you rethink the whole definition of recovery, doesn't it? What does it even mean to fully recover from COVID?
It's a big question, and I don't think we have the answer to that yet.
So where does that leave us?
Well, I think the big takeaway here is this. We're living in a time of unprecedented technological and cultural change, and it's happening so fast. And what Myers is suggesting is that our bodies, our biology, might not be able to evolve as quickly to keep up with all of it.
It's like we're trying to run a marathon with a sprained ankle or something.
Yeah, kind of. And that has huge implications, not just for our individual health, but for society as a whole. How we approach healthcare, how we design our workplaces, how we educate our kids. Everything needs to adapt to this new reality.
It's like we figured out how to live with COVID, kind of. But what if COVID is still figuring out how to live with us?
And that's a really important question that we need to start asking ourselves. Because if our biology is being challenged in this way, then we need to figure out how to support it better.
Yeah. This has given me a lot to think about. It's kind of a paradigm shift.
It is. It really makes you wonder, are we headed for a future where our own biology is the thing that's holding us back?
It's a question worth pondering for sure. This deep dive has given us all a lot to chew on, that's for sure.
It has. And maybe, just maybe, it's made us all a little more aware of what our bodies are trying to tell us.
It's definitely given me something to think about.